let's get into the top 10 here a little bit. I put them in order from 10 to 1, with 1 being what I consider to be the most important. There's always room for discussion on the sequence, and I'm sure in some cases there's a few things I could probably put together a top 50 list, but we got to start somewhere. So we'll start with the top 10. Number 1 is it's a general statement here, but improve your practices. Use and leverage the fact that you're either revitalizing your current system or you're implementing a new system to give you a reason to tie improved practices to this. All of the systems that are out there, eMaint included, and have done a great job of building functionality to support advanced practices. Usually the functionality, in many of the systems we see out there is very robust. There's obviously advantages and disadvantages of all the various systems. Some are easier to use than others. But at the end of the day, kind of that first question we asked, people are only using a small piece of this primarily because they haven't sat back and said, how do I improve my practices? And now tie that back to how do I need to use this tool to support those. So improved practices would be looking at things like proactive work management, things like dedicated planners, integrated maintenance scheduling with your production scheduling process. Have I properly trained my planners on what good job planning is, and train my organization on how do we support proper job planning? Do I build and require detailed job plans and get my craftsmen to use them? Integrated procurement practices. Do we take the view of total cost of ownership versus lowest cost? Have I integrated my material management procurement practices with my work management processes? So do I do things like set my inventory stocking levels based on my reliability-centered maintenance analysis that's tied to my maintenance strategy? Do I have a good process in place to support parts identification and development into work orders, the kitting to prepare parts for my work management process? Is my storeroom secure? Does it have the proper staffing? Again, is it integrated with work management practices? Reliability management with the proper staffing. Do I have the proper roles? Do I have people with the responsibilities for reliability improvement, the overall performance of the assets, or am I currently in a more reactive type of process? Do I really set up for having a data-driven organization? Do I use the data to make decisions? Do I analyze and use information on a regular basis, or am I making my decisions on what happened today, gut feel? An example I'll give you there, if your PM approach is, well, I had a failure on this piece of equipment last week, we better put a PM in place for that. I write the PM and say, well, I have 10 of these in my plants. I'm going to do the PM on all 10 of those and start doing the PM. That is not a best practice. That's simply reacting to a particular failure you had, and you tend to find that your PM program becomes overly burdensome and really not effective. So again, putting in good overall maintenance and reliability practices is going to quickly show you why these systems are built the way they are and how that functionality can really help you out in the long run. So that would be my number 1. The last statement on this is, if you don't really know what those best practices are, get yourself educated in those. Understand what other organizations are doing. Join organizations like Society of Maintenance and Reliability Professionals, and go to the various conferences that are out there. Bring in companies like ours to do some overall reliability training for you. But start to understand what it is that constitutes the best practices. Look to put those in place, and then if you work back on the 9 that we interesting, some helpful points and comments, and if anybody's got any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.